Hi everyone, it's me, Donovan from Serverless Solutions. This is the second part in a two-part episode that just got a little bit too long. So if you're just starting this video series at this point, I'd highly encourage you to go back and check out the previous episodes. Today we're going to be wrapping up the development on building a base MCP server, which will then layer on security on top of on future videos. As always, if you're enjoying the content, please be sure to like and subscribe. And now we'll get back to the regular video. All right, with our get all Pokemon method working, let's go ahead and add a little bit more functionality so we can add more available Pokemon and catch them as well. We're going to jump right back into our tool router and define a new tool for adding a Pokemon based on the repository that we already have. Just as before, we'll use the tool macro and give ourselves a nice description for our tool. We'll define the function signature, which will now take a parameter that's passed to this tool from the agent. We'll use the parameters wrapper from the SDK, and we'll type it to match the new Pokemon object that we actually send to the repository to create a new Pokemon. Declaring the parameter here serves two purposes. One, it allows us to access the parameter. Two, it allows the agent to understand the parameters that it needs to pass to this tool and construct those parameters using the context of the conversation it's having with the user. We'll give it the usual return type. We'll grab a mutable reference for our repository. And now we'll define behavior for our success and error paths. I'll start with the success. As usual, we'll return a successful call tool result with the content based on the result that we got back from our function call. And then we'll define our error path with a somewhat useful message. In this case, we'll use content of text. And now our agent will get a useful message when we have a failure to communicate back to our client. While we're at it, let's go ahead and add the catch tool as well. Our repository expects an unsigned integer as a parameter for the catch Pokemon method, but we're going to have to create a wrapper class for that so that the agent can discover and use that parameter in this tool call. And since this is a simple demo, we'll just go ahead and place that wrapper struct here. I'll import the missing types. And now we have a catch Pokemon by ID request that we can retrieve from our parameters. We'll give the usual return type. Once again, we will grab a mutable reference to our repository. And finally, we'll define our success and error paths. Now that we finally have all our tools defined, let's go ahead and restart our server. And then we'll hop on over here to start up our tool integration again. We see that it's discovered 3 tools, so let's see if we can use them. Now, as a fan of Charizard, I'm kind of sad he's not on this list, so we'll see if we can add him to the available Pokemon. Because the add Pokemon is a new tool, VS Code is going to ask if we're allowed to use it, and it's also going to tell us what kind of input it's going to use for that parameter we created. Now that Charizard has been added to the list, let's double check it. Here we see that the agent went ahead and ran that get all Pokemon and used its result to formulate an answer. We've listed all of our Pokemon, we've added a Pokemon, and now it's time to catch a Pokemon. But why catch just one? As a Pokemon trainer, you gotta catch them all. Once again, it's going to ask if I'm okay to run this tool. I certainly am. I want those sweet, sweet Pokemon. And the agent will then tell us that it's caught all the Pokemon. And indeed, we can scroll up and see that it has repeatedly called our Catch Pokemon tool until all of them are caught. Let's double check and see if any more are available to be caught. And the agent replies that no, there are no more available Pokemon at this time. So we've seen that the agent is capable of using these tools in combination with the context of our conversation to carry out actions. I know this is a silly Pokemon example, but I hope you're able to see how you might utilize MCP servers to empower your agents to view and act on data they may not otherwise have access to. I hope you've enjoyed this video, and I look forward to continuing this journey on building secure agentic AI. In the next episode, we'll set up Microsoft's Intra ID as our authorization server. We'll ensure that Copilot knows which authorization server we're going to use. We'll validate the token that's handed to our MCP server from the agent, and then we'll work on applying role-based access to our different tools. Finally, we'll customize our server handler so that our agent only gets a list of tools that are applicable for the current user's roles. I hope you've enjoyed this video, and I look forward to seeing you next time. Goodbye.